Crisis? What crisis? As one team seemingly leaves the crisis, another club has decided to go in and just replace them. Hi, I'm Wayne and welcome to Goals by the Numbers. Let's just get straight into it. So, our current crisis team, that being Liverpool, went to play Brentford in London and ended up losing the match 3-2. To describe Liverpool's performance in this game as poor would be a very accurate statement. This was Liverpool's fourth defeat in the Premier League in a row. And I'm starting to believe that Arne Slot is starting to look a bit out of his depth. Now, yes, Liverpool won the Premier League last season. Yes, they scored loads of goals, loads of points. But from what I can tell, not what I can tell, Liverpool didn't actually make any. They made one signing last season, which I think was Chiesa. So essentially, that was a Jurgen Klopp team. Would it be surprised to see a Jurgen Klopp team win the Premier League? No, not at all. Now that investment has been made, I guess the assumption would have been money's been spent and usually acquiring players at a high cost, you would assume a better output. But so far this season, Liverpool have looked gettable in a lot of matches. In fact, this season, only 3 teams haven't scored more than 2 goals against Liverpool. Those teams being Arsenal, Burnley, and Everton, which kind of tells the story. Brentford took the lead through Ouattara, who scored the first goal via a long throw. Now, a long throw, why is that interesting? So far this season, Brentford's new manager was their set-piece coach last season. So in certain games, i.e. against the bigger, stronger teams, he's utilised his set-piece nous and decided the best way to approach those teams is to, in cases, be more direct, use set pieces, use on the throw-ins, and just try and destabilise them. Knowing this, the whole league knows this. Liverpool went into this match and didn't seem to make any kind of plan to try and combat that. Now, usually when a team plays in Europe during the midweek, there can be a bit of a hangover due to travel and everything else in the next game in the Premier League. This has been a known thing or a bit of a thing for like 20 years now. And yeah, Liverpool turned up and just didn't look. They were poor, to be honest. They were poor. Now again, I have to reiterate, this essentially is, most of these players are Jurgen Klopp players. Jurgen Klopp, as a manager, likes players who run and run hard. When you have a squad of players who can and do run and run hard, and they choose not to, I'm left wondering what exactly is going on. Now, let's be fair and balanced. Slot won the Premier League last season. That gives him credit in the bank. But at this point, I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen next because Liverpool are 4 points behind Arsenal, who have a game in hand on them. So if Arsenal win, that becomes 7 points. And then do we get to the stage where after 9 games, Liverpool are arguably out of the title race as the holders? Already? Once again, unless this continues and really spirals out of control, Slot will be in charge next season and Liverpool will go again with him in charge. But yeah, Brentford scored 2 goals through essentially direct play. Liverpool got an equaliser with Kirkes, second half penalty for Brentford before Salah scored. And it's been a while since he scored or assisted in the league, so that was good for him to get that off his back. But no, not good at all from Liverpool. Not good at all from Liverpool. I think what gets me the most is the fact that despite being champions, something just seems to have gone off the boil. I don't know if it's too many players coming into the team. Kirkes and Frimpong don't seem to be providing the same level of output as Andy Robertson and Trent did last season, which I think at this point is hampering them. But I think we need a few more games to get more data to look and say, okay, numbers-wise, this is the issue. Because Frimpong has been injured, which has resulted in, Szoboszlai playing right back in a few games. Yeah, I love to see it, but it's really not good. Maybe in the second half of the season, Liverpool come back stronger because all of the players will be bedded in and they'll be familiar with each other and the dynamics will be a bit more stable and they'll be able to start to progress and push. But if that happens in the second half of the season, the title's already gone, leaving them with just what the FA Cup and Champions League, which trophy's a trophy, right? So yes, that takes us nicely on to our second game, that being Manchester United playing Brighton. Now, Brighton have, I believe, in the last 7 matches, beaten Manchester United 6 times in the Premier League. So for Manchester United to win 4-2 was actually a bit of a big thing. Now, up until the last game against Liverpool, Manchester United hadn't won back-to-back Premier League matches for over a year now, and it had actually gone over 2 different managers, and second one being Amorim. And to Amorim's credit, he's now seemed to be able to get the team to play in such a fashion that things seem to be calming down. In fact, this match against Brighton, Brighton had more possession, but it almost seems as if Manchester United were waiting for a mistake, praying on a mistake, and every time one happened, they were in there, competing for the ball, fighting for the ball, and then being really dangerous. It was actually quite shocking to see. Cunha got his first goal, which will be a relief to him because he did look in the first few matches as if he was trying too hard before getting injured, and then that allowed Mason Mount to come back in. There was a few more games before he came back in. So unlike Wirtz, he's managed to tick that box, so that would be good for him. And to be fair, unlike Wirtz, is also half the price. So yeah. After that, Manchester United went 2-0 up when Casemiro scored a goal after assisting Cunha, which took a heavy deflection. And Casemiro this season, with this goal in mind, just makes me remember when Jamie Carragher said, "You should leave the game before the game leaves you." Casemiro seems to be thriving in the fact that one game a week means he has time to just rest, recuperate, and be prepared for the next game ahead. And he's usually got a good 60 minutes in him before he needs to be substituted off because he then starts to wane. Now, before he was substituted in this game against Brighton, Brentford had actually put Manchester United 3-0 up, which meant that Amorim was able to make some changes. So that was Hayden coming on, Aiden Heaven coming on, Mainu coming on, and Xerxes coming on. That then seemed to change the balance of the game as those players had to get up to speed and get the rhythm going. But that also allowed Brighton to score goals through good play, but instances where Manchester United players had switched off slightly. So then we had the scenario where it's now 3-2. Manchester United beat Manchester United in recent times. You kind of expect them to flake, fall apart, but no. Something interesting happened. They actually were able to push on again and score another goal from Bremo late on, and that's sealed a 4-2 win. And, we're now in a scenario where Manchester United have won 3 Premier League games on the bounce. I believe it's Nottingham Forest next before Tottenham. And dare I say, we are cautiously optimistic that this might be okay. Very cautiously optimistic that this might be okay. Not only that, at the time of recording, before Arsenal Manchester City play later on, Manchester United are now in the top 4. Say it softly. Say it softly. Could something positive actually be happening? Manchester United being in the top 4 also means they're above Liverpool in the league. Yeah. Let that one sizzle in your spirit. So, with that in mind, we have our last game to talk about today, which is Chelsea, who went down 2-1 at Stamford Bridge to Sunderland. So, Garnacho put Chelsea in front, running down the left, cutting in and shooting underneath the keeper's legs, put Chelsea 1-0 up after like 4 or 5 minutes. Happy days. But then Isidore, he managed to get the equaliser for Sunderland, and the match went from there until late on, in like the 93rd minute. Sunderland broke and Robbie held up the ball for quite a long while actually. Tosin didn't seem to know how to get around him as he was I think he was in the box, so he didn't want to give the penalty away. But Robbie laid the ball off to Tabley, who came in and fired the ball home from the edge of the box to seal a win for Sunderland. This leaves Sunderland in second place in the league and in the running for Champions League football next season because they're in the top four. But I think the bigger thing to discuss with this match is the fact that in the last 5 games, Chelsea have suffered 3 defeats. Chelsea have spent quite a lot of money since the new ownership came in, and yes, they have tried to look at buying a lot of young players with the future in mind, such as Garnacho. But unless their manager can start to consistently get a good run of results and get a bit more of a tune at these players, I don't know if they're just replacement in the season because they're going to want to be more competitive. Like just sneaking into the top 4 isn't really going to be good enough, and currently now they're 8th. Also behind Manchester United, strange enough. So I think we're going to have to watch Chelsea closely. I doubt the manager will get sacked after winning the Club World Cup. You know, and they won a Champions League game in midweek against Ajax. But yeah, their form seems to be really patchy. Like one week they seem really good, they get a win. Next week they seem really down. It doesn't really seem to be consistent at this point. I mean, they lose against Sunderland, but then they beat Liverpool. I mean, to be fair, Sunderland are also above Liverpool, so maybe that's actually about right. Yeah. Anyway, questions, comments, concerns in the comments. If you disagree with anything I've said, that's what the comments are for. If you agree, happy days. Also add a comment. Anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll catch you later.